All right, this is another testimony. Uh, like I want to start off with most of my videos, it's just a refresher of what target individuals, what we are part of, what's happening to us. Is this: we are human subjects in this program led by the government. As subjects of this program, we are forced to experience disturbing experiences of all sorts to break people down. V2K for me is applied, and so for many others, and so their job is to get you to they're gonna repetitively say do things to break you down, and they're very disturbing. They have these things they repeat over and over. About like for me it's maybe like 30 or so words, 30 or so, um, where they try to use. 2 seconds ago, they said something about abuse, right? And this is them trying to talk about the stupid thing I did to myself as a kid. And this is the people who torture children who's talking to me. And so you got to put things in perspective because these people are perps, and in the program they're working for, the worker they're contracted for, they torture children using radiations, using technology, military grade technology applied onto these kids. They abuse them in so many ways for the experimentation purpose. Now I see them for that. And matter of fact, when they try to even mention something about me as a child, doing the stupid thing I did to myself, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, you even spanked," I'm like, they've zapped kids in places, right? And they like to say, "Oh, we dared." This is the perps, and why they're seen for what they are. They are disgusting low lives and trash. And reality is what they try to create an escape. Sorry, the reality is what they're escaping from and creating a rationality that is just nonsensical. But that's what they do. It's always to try to break you down. And they use tonalities of some sort, or try to, you know, disorient you in many ways. These people are not people that you should listen to, because these people sole job is to break you down. And for me, sometimes they use childlike people, right? At least that's what it sounds like. And I think with the reason why they try to use that is because a logic of a childlike minded will block out the fact that these people are killing this. I mean, this individual that's talking to me is in a program that is doing so much horrible things to babies and kids, abusing them and torturing them. Have the ability to block it out like a child, or try to appear such as, like, you know, I'm gonna sound like a child, and I'm gonna try to block out the fact that I'm in a program that does so many things to kids, right? And then they try to use this tonality. Right now, that's what they try to do to counter reality. Like, use this, oh, it's okay, because that's reality. It's like a child to be like, oh, blah 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 blah, yeah, they're gonna castrate you. They're gonna. It's basically that. It's part of the breaking down. It's part of the agitation. But the reality is, I see them for the low life pedophiles that they are. Now, and when I mean pedophiles, I mean for the manipulation, which I'm gonna talk about, and the disgusting things they do to people to think in certain ways. Uh, and these tactics have been systematically done to men and women, so it's nothing new here. But I've made almost almost 1,000 now. I'm getting to that, saying the same things. And once they do these pedophilia things to you, they then try to all tell you how you're going to castrate it and all that, to try to make you identify to this. And it's done systematically, with this scripts, terminology, saying over and over the same thing to try to get you to accept these pedophilia things that they manipulate you to experience. And it's what they do. But that is their assignment. It's disturbing, it's foul, and I'm glad that they do that, because it's also cowardly, it's disturbing, it's bottom feeder type of behavior, which is good because people who are, I wish that they continue to live this life as long as possible and continue to maintain this degradation of a lifestyle that they live. And I understand why they will use childlike individuals who are trash. And it's funny, some of the things they said to kind of disorient me is like, oh, you're going to get fired. My employer specifically hired me to participate in my targeting. And so I only expect that at some point they're going to do whatever they need to do to get rid of me, because that was the reason why in the first place they hired me. And so when they say these things, I'm like, they are perp just like you are. At least in my targeting, they hired me. While I was hired, when I was hired, I was letting known that by using some of the scripts that they involved in the same thing. So I don't see that as like a failure. I see them as like them involved themselves in breaking me down. Okay, so with that being said, this refresher is a refresher I will continuously bring up before going into what specifically just happened to me. It's it's the stupidity of how they try to get you to accept reality is just it's just childlike. But it's part of the agitation. Gaslighting is meant to break you down, and they utilize gaslighting methods to get you to accept a false reality, disorient you with nonsensicalness, and try to get you to subscribe to this nastiness that they do to me, which is pedophilia centric. Before I got up from my bed, one of the foulest things they did is they were making me think of a kid, a little girl, of course, and making me think of a very beautiful little girl. As I'm saying, even a little beautiful little girl, they forced me to get stimulations. This is because they want me to start identifying with this nastiness by forcing me to get stimulation. So let me repeat that, because by me saying that again shows that I'm not identified with these nasty things they do to me. So they made me imagine a beautiful little girl and then start giving me sensation and stimulations. A weird feeling, like a stimulating feeling, which they've done to me. So sad. Which they've done to me before. Which they've done to me before when I remember watching this video, and it was like I was on an Instagram, and there was like a kid dancing, and they do some disgusting things. I was an older kid, maybe like a 10-year-old kid. I mean, 11, 10, something like that, in 5th grade or so. And I'm talking about what they were making me imagine. First, it was like a little kid, like a 5, 4, 6-year-old, and giving me sensation stimulation that is of the sexual nature. It's not like, it's just like sexual. There's sexuality in it. A beautiful little girl, and then giving me a weird feeling. And I was like, when they do this thing at this point, I will talk about it, because I know what they're doing in my brain is they manipulating me to make me experience that. It's mind manipulation. This is not something that organically happens. It's them making me experience it one way or another. I don't know if they're just like using their, like, I don't, but it's in my brain, it's just changing into something like that. And then they try to make me imagine, if you're alone with her, what would you do? And they try to giving me like these disturbing scenarios and pedophilia scenarios, which is what they do, and force you to experience these imaginations that are disturbing. Now I know it's what they do, right? It's these disgusting things they can force you to experience. Matter of fact, they will try to use somebody else's baby picture and try to make me imagine like that. Just so disgusting. But that's the things they're capable to do to your brain. It's nasty. It's disturbing. To block it out right now, they're trying to make me think of me when I was just turning 12 years old, and make me think of when there was this little girl trying to give me like like, it's just crazy. And mind you, I'm getting close to my mid-late 30s. And they're like, oh no, they are, we match it to that. When you're like 12 years old. And they use the childlike individual who try to get you to accept these things. So yeah, you saw when you were 20, 23 to 24 years, yeah, 24 years ago. So you felt that it's BS. And two, it's like, hey, you see that feeling you felt? Yeah, when you were 12, you felt it. You're talking to somebody who's about to be 40. It's falsified, is what they do. It's nasty, and I'm not going to subscribe to these things. But they were giving me this intense feeling, this disgusting, intense feeling, which is what they do. And they're making me imagine me alone with this kid and doing this, making me imagine disturbing pedophilia things just to break me down. And then they bring me back to the stimulation they made me have toward this little girl, like I said, a little bit older, still a little girl, about the time when they said they matched what I'm experiencing to me as young as this kid dancing. It was like 5th grade or so, 5th, 6th grade, dancing. And they gave me this intense sexual stimulation when I saw this. It was so nasty because she was dancing, but she a little kid, but tried to dance in the sexual, but she's just a kid. But they were forcing me to get some sexual stimulation. It was like one of those it's a Brazilian DJ, and she has people doing like her dances, and this kid was doing, kind of like dancing in a little bit in a sexual way, but it's just a kid, so you don't look at it like that. You understand this is just a kid, and so disgusting. And they gave me some disturbing stimulations. And so that's the things they do. In my head, they're having a battle. It's like, how come you saw that? It's because I followed this DJ, this Brazilian DJ, and it came on her thing. So immediately they start stimulating me. And I try to get it to look normal. That was the days when I was trying to force myself to be able to look at things normally, but it never happened. It get worse. It get worse and worse. Your thoughts start seeing it even more and more disturbingly. It's disgusting. And so then trying to make me experience this disturbing stimulation. It was so intense. It was disgusting. And then tried to make me think of me when I was in 5th grade with a little girl that looked just like her. So me with my classmates in 5th grade. I think her name is Letitia. And tried to give me, kind of, remember when you were a kid, you saw this little kid this way. I'm like, what the hell? It's just disturbing. It's like, now we matched it. It's disgusting. And there's other time where they did this thing. I remember that was another time, but this is in live. Just right after they started the V2K. Excuse me, it's getting hard for me to speak. When they just started doing the V2K, early August, beginning in August 2019, like maybe fall of that year. I remember walking to the gym, and I'm looking, and I see a kid who's about 12 years old, and she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and I get a sexual stimulation. Oh my goodness! I'm walking, and I look, and she's staring at me, and I'm looking at her, and the intense sexual stimulation I got from that was disturbing. And it's them doing this. It was so nasty. I couldn't believe it. And imagine, this is early on too, and so I'm all these nasty things are just happening to me all together. It's just what the hell was that? Right? And now they try to be oh, how long did you look? It's because I looked, and she looked at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just wow. It was just sexual stimulation, and she was waiting for it. Obviously, she was told what to do, and they're saying white girl. She was a white kid, like a 10, 11-year-old kid. It's trash. And they gave me this disturbing stimulations. Disturbing. Nasty. These people are low-life pedophiles. And they're oh, the people that are going to torture you, that saw you, they saw this. It's They saw you guys doing what you did to me. When I looked at this kid was just looking at me, and I'm looking at, phew, just intense, nasty sexual stimulation that they forced me to experience. In my brain right now, they're trying to create, because right now they really try to make me lose my stuff. It's like, how long did you stay looking at her? Did you do it 1, 2, 3, and then you look? Did you do this? Like, this is the kind of battle. It is nasty. Because I know what they do. They can force you to experience nasty, weird sensation and stimulations. It's nasty to try to create these thoughts and then try to be like, oh no, we're just matched. Now you're forcing men and women like to experience these things. This is part of the breaking down of the ego, of the self-esteem, of the individuality. To just rebuild this person into something else. I'll never subscribe to this nastiness. They are low-life pedophiles that force men and women to experience weird sensations. Trash. And then they come in with a little script and go into the tonality of, and try to be like, oh, we got it, whatever. You got what you implanted. You got what you make me experience. And then you try to have battles of like, okay, so when you look, did you look like 1, 2, 3, and then looked away? Did you look what? And then just, this is what they do. And then they try to have these dialogues. Somebody came in, it's like, oh, this person's free. I'm free. I was freed. I was a target individual, now I'm free, and now, she's a perp, right? She's speaking to me via V2K. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, you're so free. Yeah. It's so real. I believe it. You are a target individual now. This person that is in charge of my targeting saved you, and now you're working for them. I was like, no, you're a perp who's trying to play yourself as a target individual. I will never let them live the fantasy. These trash are disgusting lowlife that have been torturing women and children all around the world. They in one of the psyops they've been trying to create for me is we're different in the sense that we protect and we're freeing and liberating women in this program. Clowns. They're trash involved in a program that has been killing and torturing children and women. And like, no, we proved that we're not manipulating you. Yesterday they were even having arguments like, we're controlling your mind, not manipulating your mind. It's different. And to hear somebody outside who's like, oh, we proved that these people, they are renowned for the pedophilia type of tormenting, forcing men and women to experience disturbing things. And like, we proved that, no, you've just presented what you've been doing to me. Trash, who are frauds in so many levels, capable to torture women and children. Yes, these people doing this to me are the same people torturing men and women. And they try to make me subscribe to these things. Right now, they try to really make me believe, like, no, we're freeing these women. You're not freeing women. You're torturing them. If you talk about freeing by killing them, yes, you do that. They were talking about Mariana one day, which is a target individual who I've listened to her testimony 1,000 times. I listen to it all the time. And they're like, oh, she's dead now. And they'll tell me, oh, she suffered a lot. And she died. These people are trash and lowlights and bottom feeders that experiment on men, women, and children all around the world.